Turning, looking, see.
After a tough loss in Game 1, the New York Yankees take on the Chicago White Sox in Game 2, and they send Luis Severino to the mound to try and avoid their first 2-game losing streak of the season. My recap and your reactions coming up next. This is Yankees Game Night. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy. If you're like me and you want to play fantasy sports, but you don't want to compete against bots and people who do this professionally, you just want to have fun and not have to deal with rosters and injuries all season, get the Prize Picks app. Do yourself a favor. You simply pick 2 to 5 players, regardless of their sport. Pick whether they're going to have a good day or an off day. And obviously, the more you pick correctly, the better you do. It's that simple. And their withdrawals are super fast. It is a must-have app for the NYY Recaps audience. Download the Prize Picks app or visit prizepicks.com or use the link in the description of this video and use the code NYY Recaps and they will match your initial deposit up to $100. It will help the channel immensely. Do me a favor, go to Prize Picks, use the code, and win some money. Well, there are games like this, days like this throughout the course of the season. Let's try not to be a little bit, too reactionary. In the Game 1 recap, someone said that today the Yankees felt like the 2021 Yankees, and Game 2 was a bit of deja vu. Offense completely silent tonight. ESPN game, so pretty much the only highlight for me was that we had David Cone in the booth. But just overall, an ugly day to be a Yankee fan. Severino versus Kopech, 2 pretty good pitchers on the hill, and both of them were on their game tonight. Top 3, Tim Anderson hit a ball off of his own foot. He runs it out, good hustle. He gets ruled as a hit, and then Yankees pitching coach Matt Blake was yelling from the dugout. He got tossed. Fortunately, though, Severino pitched out of it. Top 5, the White Sox got the bases loaded and nobody out, but Severino, once again, dynamite. Got 2 force outs at home and then a strikeout to get out of trouble. He was pumped. He was showing that emotion. My favorite thing about Sevy, that he wants it badly because when he does well, he shows that emotion. I looked up after the top of the 6th and I realized that this was a quick-moving game. I mean, this was a really fast game for an ESPN Sunday night baseball game, and it was because both pitchers were dealing. Kopech had a perfect game through 5, and the Yankees obviously were doing nothing with him. And Severino was dealing as well, putting up 0 after 0 after 0. So definition of a pitcher's duel.
Well, you may run like Mays, but you hit like shit.
Bottom 6, newest Yankee Rob Brantley picks up the first hit of the game for the Yankees. Opposite field double to break up the perfect game. Top 7, Severino puts a couple of more men on base, but gets out of trouble. 7 shutout innings for Sevy tonight. He scattered 8 hits. No walks, 5 strikeouts. His ERA down to 3.02 on the season. First outing of 7 or more scoreless innings for Severino since June 26th of 2018.
From there on out, things just got worse.
Top 8, White Sox rally to go up 2-0 against Jonathan Loaizaga. Just hitting too many bats. Soft contact, hard contact, all kinds of contact. Last year, it wasn't like that. So another tough outing for him. He's just not the same pitcher this year. You figured he would come out of it at some point, but we're almost to Memorial Day, and he continues to struggle. And with the injuries now to Chad Green and Aroldis Chapman, concern about Loaizaga, all of a sudden, you start to think that maybe the Yankees need to look at getting one more pitcher for that bullpen. It's thinning out quickly. Boone came out and got Loizaga, put in Castro, but Tim Anderson porched him to make it 5-0. My day was ruined. White Sox swept the Yankees. Yankees pick up just 3 hits, and it was a horrible, horrible game.
Postgame show is brought to you by Christ, I can't find it. To hell with it.
All right. I'm going to avoid all of the talk about the Donaldson-Anderson thing and just focus on the baseball tonight, if you don't mind, because this was a particularly tough game for the Yankees. Mike Bragg, 1 run in 18 innings. The offense just didn't show up today. They have been playing a lot. We haven't had a chance to, have an extended rest for anybody. And, you got the Orioles next. You got I think another week until another off day. So they need to find that second wind, put on the Billy Joel song. Sooner or later, you'll get your second wind. Baba Ganoush says, Yankees lost the mental game. We have to find it back soon. You mean they lost that mental momentum that they had, the confidence, the swagger. That I agree with. I didn't see a lot of mental mistakes tonight. There was a couple of physical mistakes. Florial misjudged a ball. There was a pick that Rizzo didn't quite get at first base. But, those are part of the game. That's the human factor. I can't speak to anybody's mental focus or the attitude in the clubhouse. I think he just got shut down by 2 pitchers that were, kind of different from each other. Cueto is somebody the Yankees haven't seen in a while. He was funky. He was throwing off their timing. And then Kopech, he shut down the Yankees last week with the exception of that 1 inning where the Yankees didn't really do much against him. And then he just blew through them tonight. Let's go to the box score and just kind of take a look at, what the story was tonight. Ryan Tuhey says, well, this was an awful day, and you are not wrong. Mark Lieberman says, hope Stanton is not going on a cold spell. He's been hitting almost 500 for the last couple of weeks. Just had a tough day. All right, let's go ahead and look at the box score. Obviously, the story for the White Sox was the 3-run home run by Anderson. That broke things open. But they had 13 hits, and the New York Yankees had 3 hits. Look at that box score. Judge, the only regular who picked up a hit. Marwin Gonzalez, kind of a bench guy, utility guy, is going to see a lot more playing time with Gallo out. Gallo apparently, by the way, tested negative for COVID, but they're both showing symptoms, so they both got put on the COVID IL. Just precautionary, I guess. And Wayne Wilcox's 3 hits was the story. You're 100% right on that.
I wholeheartedly agree.
The story was the bad offense from the Yankees, but, sometimes you're going to run into pitchers like that. Judge picked up a base hit late in the game. Actually, it was a double hit into the gap. He's up to 318. Stanton had a tough night, 0 for 3 with a walk, a couple of bad swings late in the game. Looked like he was just kind of bailing on that outside pitch, but he's still hitting 297. He's human. The pitching story was Luis Severino pitching very, very well, but the bullpen giving it up. Jonathan Loizaga, 4 earned runs. His ERA now a touchdown, 7.02. And Castro gave up the home run. His ERA up to 3.38. McKay made his Yankees debut tonight, worked a scoreless inning. Kopech just completely dominated tonight. 7 innings, 1 hit, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, 1.29 ERA. I think he deserves a round of applause. You got to credit him. He pitched well. Dan Wygon says, trade for Soto. Wholeheartedly agree.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah, I would love to get Soto, but like we said last night, gonna not be cheap. Gonna cost the farm. A lot of the farm. Eric Lavoie says, Florial looked like a minor league player. Didn't look good, but I thought he had some good cuts. I thought his swing actually looked pretty good. He just missed a couple of them, but he swung through some pitches high in the zone. But he had the bat speed. He's a big kid. I thought he made a really nice throw after misjudging the ball. He chucked it home. and it was cut off, but it was a laser beam. I'd love to see the velocity on that. Wayne Wilcox says, when is the real Rizzo coming back? This is the real Rizzo. He's a guy who's going to play solid defense and occasionally run into one at this point in his career. I think the fake Rizzo was the guy who was hit 9 home runs in 2 weeks earlier this year, because he doesn't really do that very often. But, I mean, Rizzo's a good player. He's not going to probably hit 330 at this point in his career, but, make the plays, get the occasional big hit, provide left-handed balance between Judge and Stanton. Rizzo's not somebody I'm going to complain about. Lori C says, can Soto pitch the 8th? That's pretty funny. And then Wes Niles disagrees about the minor league comment, says, need to release Hicks and play Florial. I don't think either one of them looked that great today. Although I did think that Florial looked pretty smooth out in the outfield. Aside from misjudging that ball, he's got speed. He can run down the ball. I would have played him in both games. I would like to see what he has. Our bench is soft and our pen is showing some cracks, says Lori C. Our bench definitely is a little thin right now. I feel like we could definitely use a couple of moves, but luckily the team has gotten off to such a good start that you can afford little dips like this. The team's going to come around, right? I mean, this is just a bad day. I have every confidence that they're going to come out and throttle the Orioles tomorrow. $10 super dono from Mr. Juan Santiago says, this was Florial's first game. We can't expect much. He needs reps, but put up good at-bats. I thought he took some close pitches. I really did think he had some good, strong at-bats. I would have liked to have seen him play in both games. He's youngest player on the roster today. Would have loved to see him get more at-bats, get a chance to break in and show us what he's got. Raleigh says, are the Yankees done with Andujar? I don't think they believe in his his defense enough to play him. The bat is there. I think if the Yankees for some reason need a designated hitter for an extended period of time and he's still healthy, let's say Stanton goes to the IL, he typically has at some point in his, season, some kind of leg trouble here and there. I don't think it'll be out of line to expect that at some point this year he's going to have a 10-day trip to the IL to rest the legs or whatever. And the Yankees will need a lot of DH at bats. And I think at that point, they'll use a combination of Miguel Andujar to hit, especially against lefties. And then they'll use that spot to give Judge some time off. And that might get Andujar into the outfield with some reps. Tev says Florial made some pretty solid contact in two of his at-bats. Yeah, the swing I'm not complaining about. Misjudging a ball, it happens. There's something called triple deck syndrome where young guys who come up from the minor leagues, they have trouble with the third deck because you don't have a third deck in the background in the minor leagues. You typically have like a field level and then maybe like a mezzanine level sometimes. And then once the ball gets above that, you can just read it like a normal fly ball like you were in high school or whatever. But when you come to the major leagues, you have that third deck, right? And the ball can get mixed in with shirts and things like that. So, that's what I credit that to. And also it looked like, it was a full swing and he might have got the ball off the end of the bat. And that can be tricky for an outfielder too. I've heard nothing but great things about Florial in the outfield. I've seen nothing but really good things so far up until this point in his career. So I'm not worried about Florial's defense. And I liked what I saw from him offensively tonight. If you're asking me tomorrow, who would I rather have in the game? Would I rather have Marwin Gonzalez playing left field or would I rather have Estevan Florial? Estevan Florial 100% of the time. And Dean says, I still say use Nestor to close.
It doesn't work that way.
Just a bit outside.
That might be the worst comment of the season, Dean Jones. That might be the worst comment of the year. You can't take basically the ace of the staff, the best pitcher in the American League, and put him in the bullpen as a closer. Would you rather have him throwing 170 innings or 40 or 50 innings? Come on. Nestor is not a closer. Wow. Mike to AC Merch says no off day until the 30th. Tough. That's tough. Pedro says, we can talk about the pen, but the real problem is not hitting. I mean, 1 run in 2 games, you're not wrong. But, you know, the offense has been up and down for the last couple of years. We had a nice little stretch. You know, Douglas Rao, keeping things in perspective, as always, says any season where we can be near the end of May, and this is only the 2nd series that the Yankees have dropped, sign me up. Hand of applause for the Yankees so far. They're off to a great start. Jason Sun says, we just got to get Wilson Contreras from the Cubs. You know, I don't know that they would want to deal him because I feel like they have the resources to turn it around quickly if they wanted to. I heard the Cubs in the mix on the Michael Kay show for Juan Soto. That could be interesting. But again, I think that the Nationals will want to deal him out of the National League. And to me, that opens up the Yankees. It opens up, you know, possibly the Jays. They have Teoscar Hernandez, but in right field. But, you know, Soto is a difference maker. He would change the lineup complexion completely. I think the Yankees have to go all in for him. All in, whatever it takes. You know, and I'm one of those guys. I do prospect videos. I love prospects. I talk about prospects all the time. But you can't hug prospects if you have a chance to get Juan Soto. Let's see here. Carl Girolamo, I hope I didn't butcher that, says, when Phillies fall apart, let's get Nola and Real Muto. Interesting. So Nola, pretty good pitcher. He always pitches pretty well against the Yankees, it seems. I remember he shut them down in Philadelphia last year. That was a tough one. And then Real Muto is obviously one of the better offensive catchers in the league. Defensively strong, good arm. He's got a big contract, so I don't know if the Yankees want to do that, but definitely something to consider. So you get the ding. Definitely good ideas. Josh Pedraza says, Yankees bullpen is in trouble if Lasagna doesn't get it together. Wholeheartedly agree. Hey, what do you guys say to some background music while we finish up? It's 10:21 on the East Coast. We're going to go a few more minutes here taking your comments. Jesse Garner says they were clicking before today. 100% agree. You know, we these type of games happen, right? We have to keep things in perspective, as my man Douglas Rao just did. Take a step back. If someone had told you before the season that the Yankees would have the best record in the American League and be 29-12, Aaron Judge would be leading the major leagues in home runs, and he and Stanton would both be hitting around 300 and be healthy, and that Luis Severino would have thrown 7 shutout innings and have a 3.02 ERA. You would have signed up for it. You would have signed up for it. I would have. Lori C says, what's wrong with Loizaga? Lasagna. Any idea? I don't know. Maybe lasagna is just better when it's hot. You know? My guess is that he's got some kind of a mechanical flaw and he's leaving too many balls over the plate. His changeup looked really good tonight. It was getting a lot of sink. He got some swings and misses. He also, you know, he had a couple of tough BABIP gods kind of moments. So there was a soft flare to right field, I believe. Might have been to center field, where he got it in on the guy's hands. And it was just, you know, just kind of a fisticuffs kind of hit. And then later there was a left-handed hitter who just kind of chopped it down the third baseline. But look, that's why I said in the recap, hitting too many bats. You know, last year he was missing bats. He's just got to figure out a way to create more swings and misses. Baba Ganoush says, Cole gonna shove. We're going to get back in it. Yeah, you count on your ace to turn things around on a day like, or after a couple of days like today. Jagar says, what's your opinion on Chapman and Clay Holmes? I think Chapman needs to go on the IL if he's got an actual Achilles injury. I think it's irresponsible to keep running him out there if he's hurt. And I think Clay Holmes has become one of the best relief pitchers in baseball. Eric Lavoie says, this is the best case scenario for Severino. 100% agree. William TG says, who's been better this season, Kopech or Cortez? I would take Cortez every day. And Dean Jones, doubling down, says Nestor in the last 3 innings to close the game.
It doesn't work that way.
Really, really bad takes, Dean. Really, really bad. And then Shane Johnson says Hicks is a bum, Castro is a bum. I think Shane calls people bums more than pretty much anybody in the chat. I see that a lot out of you, Shane. It's your word of the week. Lori C says nuked lasagna. Terrible. All right, guys, we are going to call it a night. Yankees drop a tough one. They drop a doubleheader. And this one was...
That is one big pile of shit.
I'll see you next time.